about this. Wax on, wax off. No, I am your father. Why did it have to be snakes?
Stanley, can you believe this? Have you read the script? I can't believe what they have us saying next week.
The script? What script?
The script for next week's episode of our show?
I don't read the script.
Oh, for Pete's sake. What do you mean you don't read the script?
It's part of my process.
Process? Oh, cheese and rice. Are you kidding me, Stanley? I can't believe that you don't read the script.
Hey, Norma.
What is it, Stanley?
Did you see a platter full of sandwiches here?
Oh.
They usually have one here in the dressing room.
Craft services must be running late. I'm sorry. You think with your stomach, okay? We're professionals here.
Maybe you could just make me a sandwich.
Stanley, I'm your TV wife. I'm not your real wife. Okay?
Norma and Stanley,
So
rehearsal in 5 minutes, soundstage 3.
Oh, here we go, Stanley.
Maybe they got sandwiches over there.
Welcome to the Biscuits and Gravy Odyssey. I'm your host, Dennis.
And I'm your host, Chris.
Hey, Chris, how you doing tonight?
Not too bad.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So, I'm going to do one thing real quick, okay?
Okay.
All right. Indiana Jones to Jones. Indiana Jones to Jones. Indiana Jones to Jones. Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, so how was your day today?
Today wasn't too bad. A little busy at work, trying to catch up on stuff. I was out of town last week, and just trying to
Yeah, you're a mover and a shaker, you are.
dig out from emails and all kinds of stuff. So, it wasn't too bad. I was out at a show last week.
Okay.
I lucked out on my flight out of town.
Did you rent a kid?
No, I did not rent a kid.
Okay.
I got on the plane, and I got my seat that I want. Okay. I have a theory to me, there's a sweet spot.
All right, let's hear this one.
There's a sweet spot on an airplane.
Okay.
That I consider rows like 9 to 12. Okay.
And this is a sweet spot. Why?
Because starting out this flight, before I even boarded the plane, they kept, every seat is sold on this flight. Every seat is full. I fly Southwest, so, usually get the early bird check-in, so I usually get somewhere in the A boarding, once in a while, early B.
Okay.
But A boarding. So I have my pick of window, aisle, whatever. I personally like a window seat because I like to lean on the window.
Yeah. Good call.
I like to lean up against the side because if I want to take a nap or something, and people don't really like when you lean on them. So I like to take the window seat.
Yeah, I find that to be also true.
Yeah, it's awkward. So anyway, I get on the plane. I got 10th row, window seat, right side of the plane.
Okay.
Full flight. They keep saying this is going to be a full flight. It's going to be a full flight. All right. Coming up. People are boarding.
So you're watching the people come in.
I'm watching the people come in. I always do because they always say it's a full flight, and there's usually 1 or 2 seats empty even when they say it's a full flight.
Do you start coughing when people walk by?
No, I mean, I try to, I stretch out a little bit so I'm like leaning into into the middle seat. And, so a woman comes up and she sits in the aisle seat.
Okay.
And so I'm leaning and
You got the buffer seat going right now.
Yeah, so I'm hoping no one's going to sit there watching people come in lightly because you don't want to make too much eye contact.
No.
that's almost like you're inviting someone to sit down next to you. So I'm like just barely looking up, but looking down, looking up, and moving my arm is like leaned into the middle seat, blah, blah, blah. So the reason I think that this, and ultimately no one sat in the middle seat. Full flight, supposedly every single seat. And they should know because you check in at the curb. So according to their computer, they should know how many people checked in, if everybody for this flight checked in, So I'm watching, and nobody sits there. No one the whole flight. But my theory is, on the sweet spot, is some people will sit in the front like few rows just because they want to be the first ones off the plane.
Right.
So if they're going to grab a middle, they'll grab a middle. Like once you get into the later B boarding, people that are getting on, some people are like, I'm just gonna grab the first middle row because I'm probably gonna get a middle seat anyway. And then I can get off the plane faster.
Right.
Other people will try to go to the back, still hoping that there's some aisle or window available.
Right.
And then when they get all the way back there,
they're stuck.
They're not going to turn around and walk all the way up to the front. So that's why I consider those rows the sweet spot.
Okay.
Because it's past the front ones, but it's way too far up for people to turn around and come back. And I've had the most luck in those seats.
You've put a lot of thought into that.
Oh yeah. Well, I fly a decent amount.
Oh yeah, you do.
So, but yeah, that was it worked out great. It's like, to me, it's like I won something. When nobody sits in the seat next to me, I won.
Wow, you got a way better game. I mean, the best I do is start coughing a little bit. I'm sick. Don't sit next to me, kind of thing.
Especially nowadays.
Well, yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah.
I've seen.
If you got a mask on and you're coughing on a plane, you probably get the whole damn row.
Yeah. Oh, probably. They. I've seen things online that they actually sell that's like a spilled coffee for the purpose of putting it on the seat next to you, like someone spilled. Like who's gonna fall for that? But
that still would be funny.
It would be.
Hey, that'd be an icebreaker.
I just want to buy one and just
that'd
to
be
try
an
it.
icebreaker. Just real quick, that little song I sang in the beginning there, that you kind of looked at me like I was psychotic,
which I usually do.
When my children were young, and we'd be in the minivan with the little TV screen, and when you put the DVDs in, and we'd be watching Indiana Jones. When we started, my kids came up with that song, and they'd all sing it in the car as the beginning of the movie would start. They just repeat his name to the melody of.
It's a great song. It's no wonder your oldest boy is going into sound and music and stuff like that. I just had to started from the beginning.
I just had to put that in there. So that was what my kids did. So today's topic
is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones, I guess.
Yeah.
I doubt we're gonna do another one on Temple of Doom or anything like that.
Oh, we might.
But yeah. Well, technically, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark was our choice.
Is the topic now? This would be the last actual clip from the intro music. We've touched on every movie.
Yes.
And this is the last.
You're right. In our intro
Why did it have
song,
to be snakes?
Why did it have to be snakes?
So I feel like this is a pinnacle moment. Is that the right word? Pinnacle?
It really? Yeah. That's not a.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go with that.
You're good there. Yeah. You could have mispronounced it, and I would have had to correct you, but
I'll try harder.
You did pretty good there. Yeah. No, I was excited about this one. I've been hoping to do this one for a while because.
Right. And I have a theory on this.
Uh-oh.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say
okay.
I've always been a huge Indiana Jones fan for years, and actually the funny thing about this, I had seen Raiders.
Right.
When I was young, I probably saw Raiders. I'm sure I saw Temple of Doom. It wasn't really until Last Crusade that I really became.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A big Indiana Jones. Like that's what really pushed me. Even though it's not my favorite, I will
I know that.
I will still say Raiders is still my favorite.
We'll get to that.
That was the movie that kind of like pushed me into like really liking Indiana Jones.
This is my theory.
I'm
I'm going to ask you about. Now, we all know that you are a huge Star Wars fan, right?
Yep.
All right, so, but knowing you over these years, I find that you have a very special place in your heart for Indiana Jones.
Of course.
And I almost think, I'm not saying you like it better than Star Wars, but I almost think you connect more with the character of Indiana Jones and that whole franchise, Raiders especially, than maybe even Star Wars. And hear me out there. I think it is because, you know what? You can't become a Jedi. As much as you like Star Wars, you can't become a Jedi. But in a perfect world, you could kind of become Indiana Jones. I mean,
that's attainable.
It's more reality based. And
I mean, I couldn't personally because I just don't have the drive, I guess. But
maybe a younger you,
but a younger, much more ambitious me.
No, but okay, so
possibly could, but it's attainable. You're right.
Well, that is why I think that you have a special place in your heart for Indiana Jones, and I just want to know if I'm in the ballpark with this one. I mean, as much of a Star Wars fan that you are, you know.
No, I was always probably ever since that time when I kind of discovered it again, kind of rediscovered it at Last Crusade. I was always partial to Indiana Jones. Not that I don't love Star Wars, I always have, but.
But do you think it's because
it could be? That's a good idea.
I mean, because
I never really gave it that much thought. I mean, obviously you did.
Well, so. I thought about it, and I know how much you like him and all the movies. Well, most of the movies.
Right.
And I was thinking it's because you can't be Luke Skywalker. I mean, you can, but people would probably look weird at you.
What the hell are you trying to say?
Well, I'm just saying.
You think I can't be a Jedi?
Well, yeah, because they don't exist. Where an archaeologist, treasure hunter, could.
Right.
Yep, I mean, look at that guy on Ancient Aliens. He kind of models himself. Giorgio. I love him. He's got some good hair too.
He's got some great hair. If I had hair, I would. Maybe if I grow it back.
Yeah, you know what though?
Maybe I'll go for the Giorgio look.
It doesn't matter. You do the hat.
Yeah, true.
You do the hat, and so. I just wanted to ask you about that and see if I was, tracking right on that one.
Could be.
All right, so let's figure out Raiders of the Lost Ark. What do you think? I mean, it's up there with. I mean, that's like iconic film like Jaws, like Star Wars: New Hope. I mean, that's like a staple.
It's one of the best movies ever, in my opinion. I love Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Love it almost as much as Eagle Boy loves Back to the Future.
Yeah, I know that's a different one to feel that passionate about. But hey, man, that's great.
Hey,
I love it.
You do you.
Yeah, right. So,
but excellent movie from start to finish. I love the story, love the characters, love the actors in it.
I love how they did, just like Lucas did with Star Wars, and kind of based it like off of old serial, Flash Gordon kind of thing.
Yeah,
they did the same thing with Indy. I mean, and I think that's part of the appeal of that. It's that old feeling of a, old, I don't know, 20s, 30s serial, Jungle Jim is fighting,
There was a lot of movies that they kind of took as inspiration for Indiana Jones, for Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like old Humphrey Bogart, like Treasure of the Sierra Madre, old Zorro stuff. They took a lot of inspiration from these movies.
They also kind of his characters. I've read about loosely based off of James Bond, kind of ladies' man kind of thing. Because he's got that
a little bit, but not too much.
No,
Not too much.
Not too much,
originally, and this just to kind of piggyback on what you just said. In the opening scene of not the opening scene in the opening scene. What am I talking about? In the when Indiana is getting hired by the government to go and find the Ark, and Brody goes to his house, and you see Indy comes out of the bedroom in like a robe, like a silk robe.
There was a cut scene.
There was a cut scene there where there was actually a girl in the in the bedroom that he was leaving this woman to go and talk to Brody, and they cut that for the reason of they didn't want him to seem like this playboy. You know, they kind of wanted to tame that down a little bit. I mean, he still does. He still has that. Oh yeah, he has that playboy, aura, but not as blatant.
I see what you're saying.
As in that first movie, as coming out of the room from
in hindsight,
clearly just getting getting it on.
In hindsight, that's probably a good editing choice because I mean, he still came off a ladies' man.
He's smooth in general. He's just smooth.
It's Harrison Ford too,
and that's one thing I like. One of the reasons when you talk about Star Wars and why I like this more than Star Wars and this and that. Not that I like it more than Star, but why I kind of
gravitate towards
like Han Solo is a great character. I like Han Solo. Mm-hmm. If there was a character in the original Star Wars, Han Solo, I mean, Han Solo would have been probably cool. The cool. I like Han Solo. Getting away from things like Chewbacca and stuff like that, but like an actual human character. But to me, Indiana Jones is almost cooler than Han Solo in many ways.
I could agree with that. But I think I
don't even want to say that because I don't get backlash about that Indiana Jones might be cooler than Han Solo.
I think that does fall into what I was talking about with, is it because you can relate to that more? Star Wars is science fiction. It's and even though Indiana Jones is fiction, it's based in our reality that we know. So you can relate to a guy like that versus a guy like Han Solo.
And he's as cool as Han Solo is. He's not as smooth. He's not smooth like Indiana Jones is smooth, almost in a almost in like James Bond kind of way. Which is actually another funny thing is Spielberg was actually wanted to do a James Bond movie. And it just didn't work out, and that was right around this time that he ended up doing the Indiana Jones with Lucas. But he wanted to do a James Bond movie, and he never did. And it was like I said, it was so. There's probably in his eyes, there's probably some things about Indiana Jones that he wanted to make cool, like a Connery, which he eventually cast him for,
Yeah, and that's like double trouble right there. You got both those guys on screen.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
Now
in the scene, they show when the classroom and that girl is closing her eyes and it says "love you." It's even showing you there that he's a ladies' man. He's not even. He's just got charisma.
He's not even trying.
Ladies, and when he's sneaking,
he's like
out,
Cetera. The ladies love Cetera. And the ladies love Indiana Jones.
Like that, and he's got to get away from all of that. He's sneaking out.
He climbs out the window to get out of there because there's,
that part.
And one thing I love about all these movies, all the Indiana Jones movies, is they jump back and forth from like his day job to his archaeology job. So it's like he's in the suit and stuff, and then
it's like his Clark Kent kind of thing.
Then he changes into the into his leather jacket and his hat and stuff. And in this movie, in Raiders, that happens early in the movie when he's Marcus Brody comes to him and tells him that the guys are there from the government and they want to talk to him. I'm not sure if Brody knew what they were going to ask him. They played it off like he didn't.
Right.
They never really alluded to whether he had talked to them about it at all, beforehand.
Right.
But so he comes to him there at the college. I forget the name of the college. What's the name?
You know what? I can't remember.
Damn.
You know what? Hey, I got it.
What?
Let's ask Joe.
Yes.
You right?
Yep.
Okay.
When there's something you don't know, ask Joe.
Hello?
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Good. How are you? What's going on?
Oh, not too much. We're in the middle of recording our next podcast, and we had a question for you. We're doing this week's on Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we, for the life of us, we could not remember the name of the college that Indiana Jones teaches at.
Oh, actually, he was at Marshall College.
Oh,
but that's an interesting story because when Raiders first came out in 81, we never knew the name of the college that he was at. It wasn't until later did we find out when the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out. I think it was in 08 that we find out that was the name of the school. But he was teaching at Marshall College, and that was based out of Connecticut. The interesting part was Marshall College is actually a fictitious school, doesn't really exist. And it's named after Frank Marshall, who's actually one of the producers for Raiders of the Lost Ark. When they were filming that scene, the exteriors are actually shot at the University of the Pacific Conservatory, and that's right outside of California. So that was pretty interesting.
Wow.
That's cool.
Kind of very educational. Wow. Yeah. I like it.
Wow, thanks,
All right,
Joe.
guys, I got to go.
Oh.
I got another call coming in.
All right, thanks a lot,
All
Joe.
right, thanks, Joe.
Boy, good thing we got Joe to call to ask him when we have a question.
Definitely. Very informational.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we're going to go to a break real quick, and then we'll dive into a little bit more of Raiders. Check out Top Mortician, the only show on television where we prepare people for their final journey. This week, our celebrity host, Gordon Rambaumer, will lead the group to New England.
These morticians are going to either sew up or shut up on this week's challenge. Oh, off!
We will again be supplying them with deceased vagrants, and each one will have to make their corpse up to resemble a different celebrity. The group with the best performance will be spending the next 2 days in Las Vegas, where they will party at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum and given $10,000 in casino chips. The losing team will clean the crematorium.
You're all a bunch of morons. You're dirty
Always colorful. Gordon was really losing his cool on the contestants this week.
You call it a bloody backstitch? He's supposed to look like Brad Pitt, and he looks more like Jacob Marley.
Check out tonight's episode at 9 on the Bago Network.
Oh, bloody son
Then be
of
sure
a
to watch the Top Morticians after party with Randy Cohen at 10.
Oh, fuck me. Fucking mother. All right, welcome back to the Biscuits and Gravy Odyssey. We are talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones in general this evening.
Classic movie.
Yep. Couple things I wanted to bring up, a couple of funny little interesting facts. Fun facts.
Give it to me.
Fun facts, kind of along the lines of, which you see a lot of times in movies, along the lines like we were talking about in Back to the Future and stuff, schedule conflicts and things like that. If it wasn't for some schedule conflicts, this could have been a very different movie. Initially, Tom Selleck read for the part of Indiana Jones, and they liked him a lot.
So why did that not work
They liked
out?
because of his previous commitments to Magnum PI, because they were right in the middle of Magnum PI at that time.
Okay.
But interesting, he did read for it when Tom Selleck read for it. He read opposite Sean Young, reading for Marion's part, who Harrison Ford then later on played opposite in Blade Runner. So that was interesting. And then the part of Sala,
Yeah.
who was played by John Rhys Davies. I'm not sure how to say it.
Asps. Very dangerous.
Asps. Very dangerous.
You go first.
That one was actually they were looking at Danny DeVito for that spot.
Yes, I did see that.
But because of Taxi, he was tied up.
You know, he would have been a good.
He would have been, but not,
Yeah.
But John Rhys Davies, Sala's character.
Right.
I'm not even sure if you
know his character.
You know his character. I know you know his character well. But the actor, because this is something I didn't realize early on.
Okay. Is this something else he was in that I might not have known?
You heavily makeup and
maybe we should ask Joe again.
No.
Okay.
One of your favorites.
What?
Lord of the Rings.
Gimli?
Gimli.
Yeah, Gimli.
Oh, you knew that?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you'd know that.
Okay.
Because that was an interesting one.
Yeah. Cool.
Because he's got so much makeup and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I got you. But you almost had me there. I was like, what? Okay, what show?
You're like, what? But that was, the whole Danny DeVito thing I thought was super cool. Or I've always thought that.
Another little thing on that, when I was doing some research for this, that whole scene when they're in that village and he shoots that guy who's swinging the sword and stuff.
Right.
And I know you know that he did that ad lib kind of thing, but it was because, which I didn't know, everyone had food poisoning.
Right.
And he just didn't want to do the scene where he's fighting this guy.
He was sick for like weeks.
Yeah, and I guess the whole crew and a lot of cast members were also sick, and it was like a miserable time.
And he went to Spielberg, and he's like,
right,
can we just do this and just shoot him? And then they just tried it.
And that works. That works there.
Another cool spot. The when they're in the tent, Belloc and Marion drinking, and then Tote comes in, the Nazi, and he comes out and he pulls out that
coat hanger that
coat
looks
hanger
like nunchucks.
That looks like nunchucks, and they're looking at it like, oh,
he's gonna torture her.
They actually did that previously. Spielberg tried that once.
What do you mean?
In the movie 1941,
he
did the exact same scene with the Nazi soldier getting onto the submarine.
And it's in that scene now?
It's not. It didn't go over well.
Okay.
So they didn't put it in there. So everyone thought it wasn't funny. So he's like, I'm going to try this again, and did it in this one, and it actually went over well.
Right.
People liked it.
And it didn't come off as funny. It came off like...
It came up as serious, but then like, whoo,
it's just a coat hanger.
But funny that he was like one of those things that you tried to do it, and you tried it again, and eventually I'm going to get that in a movie.
Well, speaking of the Nazis, right? I was thinking about this stuff, and all right. So, do you think? I mean, they had to take the Ark. Why did Belloc have to open it then? From what I understand, it's because he told the Nazis he had to do this in some kind of ritual thing. I mean, why didn't they not just send it back to Germany?
Well, I think he wanted to open it for multiple reasons. Number one, he's an archaeologist. He's an adventurer like Indiana Jones.
Right.
He's there for the find.
Yeah.
So he's going to want to see this thing. He's not just going to want to let the Nazis take it, because he never would have even.
Yeah, but they were in charge, these Nazis. I mean, I know he was leading up this thing. So I guess what I'm getting at is if they had sent that Ark back to Germany and old Hitler opened that Ark, we all know what happens.
Right.
I mean, that's end game. That's a whole different. So why did he have to?
I'm of the in the camp of, and this is something this is actually something that's been discussed.
Okay.
There's a point in that same scene when they're in the tent.
Yeah.
And she's drinking him under the table because which was something that wasn't originally in that. That was kind of a little bit of an ad-libbed thing too. which then just tied back to her
in her bar
drinking and stuff. But at one point, she's like, "Where'd you get this stuff?" And he's like, "This is my family label.
Yeah.
I grew up on this."
Right, and he's
the label was actually in from what people say.
Okay,
I don't speak it myself, but the label is actually a Hebrew label.
But he's French.
But that would make him Jewish.
Oh,
so the thought is in
discussions
that he is some type of Jewish, maybe a
so
rabbi
or
whatever.
He was more than
just a treasure hunter, and that's why he actually put on that priestly type garb.
You know what? That's pretty cool.
Did
that makes sense.
Because they say that there was Hebrew on the label.
So here's another thing with that. Okay, so if you think about how the whole movie plays out, say you take Indiana Jones out of the equation completely.
Right.
Other than them digging in the wrong spot. Say they finally figure out where they dig it and find this Ark. Marion might have been killed, but in the end, the Nazis aren't getting it because I'm not trying to say what did Indy do at the end there other than get captured and know to keep his eyes closed when they open that thing. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's what I mean.
Ultimately, someone would have come back and picked this thing up. Probably more Nazis that weren't in that immediate spot.
That's true. That because at the end, at least America got it and put it in some warehouse in Area 51 or wherever that was.
Right. No, someone would have come back. I mean, it would have. You're right. It would have killed. Well, they would have found it quicker because they would have gotten the whole headpiece from Marion.
Oh, true.
Right at the
from the
beginning instead of just the burned half of it in.
So hand. I was thinking I was just thinking about that, like that whole scenario. And then even if they did, some more Germans find it, and like I said, then Belloc was dead. They take that Ark now back to Germany, and old Hitler boy opens that thing with all his staff, and boom, they're all dead. No World War II.
I don't think.
It'd be interesting.
I think people learn from their mistakes, and opening something like
when
that,
they see the charred dead corpses around it,
opening it like that. I mean, I think what kind of what they had talked about at the beginning, and Marcus Brody said it to Indiana Jones early on when they were talking before they went on this adventure. An army that carries the Ark before it,
right, is
invincible.
So, they
the point is like
maybe
you have it in front of you,
right?
Not
and listen,
not pointing at you. And
listen, I'm not trying to downplay anything Indy does because I love the man and I love what he did in that movie. But if you think about it, I mean, if he was even out of that equation, maybe I don't know, just some food for thought.
I still think the Nazis would have ended up with it because, like I said, they would have swept up all the corpses there. The second round of Nazis would have showed up. You know what? Swept up all the corpses and put.
Yeah, I suppose Endgame, America has it locked up somewhere safe.
They would have gotten it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was just.
They didn't use it in the movie. America didn't They put it in a warehouse.
Well, how about
not in the museum
How about that at the end? Okay, so they make the big scene of they box this thing up, put it in this warehouse where it's to be lost or whatever. It's just, didn't you, when you first saw that movie, didn't you just feel like, okay, what's next with this? What, and they never touched on it again. And that's kind of cool in its own way because it's like,
it is.
Whatever happened to that? You still want that yearning to see what happened with,
I liked the scene. I think it was on the submarine when they had it in the submarine, and they just cut to the box, and the Nazi swastika burns off of the crate, like by itself.
Well, see, and that's the thing. That's why I think Raiders and Last Crusade are the two favorite movies for me because maybe because it's biblical versus space alien and powerful gems of some kind of Hindu.
That's like witchcraft kind of.
So you know what I mean?
Type stuff.
That's why I think because it seems more based in
right. Well, they were similar with the whole Nazi thing.
Well,
they were similar in style. Obviously, Raiders. To me, I shouldn't say obviously. Obviously, those are the best two.
Yeah.
To me, now my wife would disagree. My wife likes Last Crusade the best. I still prefer Raiders over Last Crusade, but Last Crusade is a close second.
And I was in that camp.
And then Temple of Doom and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull are kind of neck and neck on what would be third and fourth because I like Temple of Doom. I like Temple of Doom better than a lot of people do. There was a lot of stuff about it that I really liked, and I didn't like Mutt in the fourth one at all.
Plus the whole alien tie-in.
And I mean that's
I don't know, but
it's a different thing. They you know it's his. All these movies have had you know, and it's always it goes back to his struggle constantly in all the movies because he's a literal thinker. He thinks everything can be explained by rational, thought.
That is broken
and it's broken in every movie. Yeah. But he still struggles to keep that.
Yeah. Okay.
Being rational thinking and not, believing these things. And in every movie, there's some different form of. And
higher power.
And so the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was just another different form of something unexplained that he can't explain. He wants to explain things.
Yeah.
And you can't explain those types of things. You just have to believe. Kind of like in Last Crusade.
Right.
A leap from the lion's head.
Yeah.
The
faith.
It's a faith. It's a leap of faith. And he struggled with his faith throughout the whole series.
I guess that's just because I don't believe in aliens. I guess I don't know.
Oh, how could you not?
Oh, I love watching Ancient Aliens and all that stuff.
How could you not?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. So
I've always said how arrogant can we be as a species to think that we are it. In the entire galaxy.
Oh, I'm sure there probably is something.
We are
but
it. There's no one else. There's nothing else.
Our thought process about them, aliens, and even the crystal skull things. I don't know, but
they've been here.
Maybe. So here's something.
I want to believe.
You want to believe? Okay, now we're doing X-Files. So, I've also heard this. Now, do you know anything about Temple of Doom being a prequel to Raiders? I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way because it doesn't seem to fall in line with,
I've heard a lot of talk and over the years about timelines and stuff, and when Nazis were in different places and this and that, and they wouldn't be here at this time, so this would have to come after this, and blah, blah, blah. I've heard a lot of that stuff, and I've heard that before, that Temple of Doom should have actually taken place first, and this and that. I don't think... None of it is worrisome to me that I have to even, be concerned with that.
Right.
But if that's the case, I can see it, because you're going by when... because some of this stuff is actual. They throw in actual history in this stuff, so these are the things that were happening at the time. So if you go by that, then you can look at a timeline and you can say this is.
I guess I just look at it like that kind of makes sense in a way because, and I don't know if it's because Raiders has Marion in it, and so does Crystal Skull, and Crusade's got his father in it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
for some strange reason, that's some kind of all tie-in for me. And then you have this kind of like a standalone temple, which originally I didn't like that much, but it's grown on me. So.
It's probably the most different of the four.
Yeah.
The Crystal Skull probably ties in more with 1 and 3 than
because you
2
got
even
does.
because
you got Indy's son, which
yeah,
I agree. Mutt. I mean,
just the name alone. Come on.
Well, the character could have been cool, but
it could have been, but it wasn't.
Well, first of all, that name you got to change that name.
Yeah,
and he was no Indy, and going back to Indy's coolness, you know what I mean? They're trying to make him that 50s coolness.
They were trying to go for because of the time. Again, it's so many years later,
right?
So now you're in the 50s,
right?
It was cool to see some of the stuff that they did with the nuclear testing stuff, and he gets inside the refrigerator, which never would have saved him in that.
Yes, it would have.
No, it wouldn't have.
You want to know why?
Why?
What did he do in Last Crusades? He drank from the cup.
You're right.
He drank from the cup.
He shouldn't even be old.
Yeah, well,
you're right.
They do their best with
right.
makeup, but right? I mean,
he did, but he shouldn't even be.
That.
No, you're right. But
think about it. That could be reasonings why, because he didn't take the cup, but he drank from it.
I'm looking forward to.
Well, what are they going to do with that?
I don't know.
You're talking about the new one.
Yeah,
they're slated to do it, right?
Yeah, they're definitely slated to do it. They're definitely planning it. They've been planning it for a while, but now with the whole Disney thing, it'll. I am totally cool with him just handing the reins over. I didn't want him to do that after Crystal Skull because I'm like, you can't hand those reins over to Mutt. You just can't.
Okay, now, so who's he gonna hand it over to?
I don't know. I don't even know what they're even talking. I haven't even read a bunch about it. Was what they're I've been saying for years, like a Chris Pratt. After seeing him in
oh, that's right. You did say that would be good.
Jurassic World and stuff. I think he kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
I would like to input one small thing here. I just searched it up. Apparently, Frank Marshall, who had produced all 4 of the previous Indiana Jones films, tweeted that the film has actually finished shooting.
You kidding me? Really? Do they have a working title or a title?
No. All I know is that from what I'm looking at, it has finished shooting. So it's probably now just a post-production
All right,
stages.
so this is either going to be horrible, seeing a really old indie, or they're going to pull this off. And
I think the way to pull it off, like I said, is to have him hand the reins over to someone else. There has to be a new indie.
And then
still,
he can
still be involved. He can be more involved than Sean Connery was in. You know what I mean? Because Sean Connery was more the
father figure. What?
No, he was more the intellectual. He wasn't the
adventurer.
He wasn't the adventurer type. But so he'd be more involved than he was. But in that type of similar role.
So
he was the older guy.
If he passes the reins over there, then you want to see new movies with whoever.
Oh, I would totally see new movies with because it's a great.
I agree.
It's a great storyline. It's a great starting point.
Here's the only thing I think why it won't do as well, because there's something about, and it goes back to you enjoying the Raiders the best. I also think it has to do with that time frame.
It's the time, yeah.
We look back at that with that nostalgia and that like I said, it's based on those old serials of the 20s, 30s.
Right, because if you look at this one in comparison, the next one in comparison to like Crystal Skull,
right. Even if it takes place right after that.
It is right after, but it probably is going to be a little bit of time.
Probably 60s.
Probably 60s. We're going to have like hippie stuff going on.
And that's going to be weird seeing, because, I mean,
right.
I think both of us like our indie back.
Even the 50s one was a little different.
Yeah.
It was a little different, but close enough. I think that it was still kind of cool.
That's probably the last time frame, because they even portrayed him in that movie as like the end of his career kind of thing.
Right. I don't know how soon after it's going to be. I have no idea, but this is I'm excited about any edition, Now,
I want to jump back when you were talking about how your wife likes Last Crusades, and I thinking that was the best one, and I was in that camp for a long time, and you kept saying, "Oh, you know what? As much as that's an amazing movie, Raiders is the best." And I remember I went back and I watched Raiders. Even being a huge fan of the Last Crusades, and I sat and watched it, and I'm like, you know what? As much as I hate to admit it, you're right. There's this, I don't know, simplistic, thing about it that, and it's just they did catch lightning in a bottle, and and they did expand on it with Sean Connery and Crusades, but I would have to probably agree with you. Raiders is probably the best of them,
and and being how we were brought up, and obviously everyone is different.
Yeah,
but you and I are both Christian raised,
right?
So 1 and 3
that is
is interesting to us because it's the folklore that we grew up in our faith.
It's biblical, so it has to do with, and I guess that's what I really like about Crusades is because even more so than Raiders, I guess you see the healing power of the cup and of the Grail.
There's a little more story behind the Grail story in the movie. There's a little more story about the Grail than there is about the Ark in the first one. So this just that was kind of better.
Yeah, Raiders is more based on that adventure, and the Ark was in there, but like I said, Crusades has more story, and I guess I have to say, like, I loved Sean Connery, when he's shot and Indy's going through all the trials to get to the Grail.
Yeah.
And he's like whispering to himself, in Latin or
he's remembering everything from the book that they had to go all the way back to Berlin to get the book.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Because he didn't know what was in the book, but then when he's actually in the moment, he remembers everything that he wrote in the book.
But and Connery, he did a great job.
It's kind of like when I was in like grade school.
Yeah.
And you would try to cheat on a test.
Yeah.
You would try to cheat on a test, and you would write like
I never did that.
A cheat piece of paper with
right.
Information on as small as you possibly could, so you could like tuck it somewhere. But anytime I did that, I never even needed to pull the paper out.
Because you knew.
Because by writing it, I remembered what the hell I wrote.
Yeah.
Which then made me think, why don't I just flip and study? Because that's basically what I just did when I write this crap to cheat.
When you're trying to cheat.
Right.
So that's what Sean Connery did in there.
He remembered everything that he wrote in the thing.
But he did a great job with that acting in that part that was just,
That was one of my favorite spots. And when he's on the beach and he pulls out the umbrella and he makes all the birds go off the beach and takes out one of the planes, and he's like, I've suddenly remembered my Charlemagne, And it was just and the way that Indy looked at him,
right,
kind of like we've talked about, thinking about the old man,
right.
Don't dismiss the wisdom that a previous that an older generation has, and that's the way Indy looked at his father in that moment.
He did. All right, I think we're gonna take a break right now, and then we'll get back and wrap this baby up.
Sounds good. When you think of forever, I bet you think of a life sentence at a federal prison. Standing in line at the DMV, waiting to place your order at the local coffee shop. Marriage.
I sure do.
And I bet when you think of forever, you never think of gum.
Heck no. Gum lasts about as long as a one-legged man at an ass-kicking contest.
Whoa, that seems a little insensitive, but I couldn't have said it better myself. Gum really kind of sucks. Until now, that is.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, am I in a commercial?
Sure are. But don't worry, this commercial won't last forever, like this gum.
Am I going to get paid for this?
Forever Gum has everything regular gum is missing. Flavor, and then a sprinkle of flavor. But most importantly, it has that wow factor.
Should I get an agent or something?
I'm glad you asked. That wow factor is rechewability. That's right. Here at Forever Confection, we have developed a stick of chewing gum that will last longer than an acceptance speech at the Oscars by one of those self-absorbed method actors that uses the award ceremony to push one of their lofty ideas down your throat. I mean, really, how about just saying thank you and walking off the stage?
Do you even need me here?
You're doing great, kid. So pick yourself up a stick of Forever Gum for 7 easy payments of $599, tax not included, and take a ride on that wow factor tractor.
Holy fart nuggets! That's a lot of money.
Not when you consider that stick of gum will follow you to the grave. Forever Gum is non-transferable. Get hold of your stick today.
All right, well, welcome back. Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Throw me the idol. I'll throw you the whip.
No, throw me the whip.
No. Give me the idol. Classic line. All right, so what we got going there?
You know what? Actually, at this point in the show, we were going to do something new, something we've been waiting to do for quite a while. Finally, we got some emails into our bagopod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Emails we want to read off our emails here. So this is a new segment that we're gonna kick off right here.
All right, sounds good. Mailbag, wave the flag. I said mailbag, mailbag, makes my tail wag. I said the mailbag.
All right, let's take a look at some of our emails here.
Open them up.
I'm actually going to start the first one.
I wonder who that was.
It came in from someone named Dennis.
Ooh.
It said, "Hello, Bago family. I just wanted to see our email actually have an email in it. Perhaps one day this address will be filled with electronic letters from fans telling us how much they love our show." This was titled, "Is This Thing On?" Interesting.
So did my dream come true, Chris?
Yes, yes, it did. We do have a few.
All right,
a few letters.
Let's hear him.
Okay, the first letter here is from Steve. We're not going to read last names here, but
right.
This one is from Steve, and Steve writes, "Been listening to the podcast, really enjoying the show, but I have one question for you: who is Biscuits and who is Gravy?"
Oh. Yeah, I guess we've never really touched upon this, have we?
No.
Well, the answer to that is no one knows.
Nope.
It is one of the great mysteries of the universe. Sorry, Steve. In all actuality, even me and Chris have never discussed who is Biscuits and who is Gravy.
No.
We, as a team, are Biscuits and Gravy.
Right.
I hope that answers your question, but that's the truth of the matter.
Right. Sorry, Steve. You could drink from the Holy Grail, and you still would not live long enough to find the answer to that question.
Many people have tried to find the answer, but it's the unknown. All right.
All right.
Well, you know what? That's funny because we've never really addressed any of that, and
No.
because we don't even think about it anymore.
We're almost done with our first season, and we
we've never, because we don't think about it anymore because we know we don't know who is.
Right.
But thank you, Steve, for that. That's good. All right, so what else we got?
All right. Letter number 2 This one's coming from Sexy Sadie.
Ooh, obviously a Beatles fan.
Obviously. Sexy Sadie writes, why did you guys start your podcast in the first place?
Oh, okay. I think we kind of briefly touched on that in our first episode, I think. Well, basically, me and Chris have known each other for,
Probably
15, 16?
around that. Yeah.
Years.
Yep.
And in that time, we've had lots of ideas of doing things. From, not forming a band, but doing a kind of open mic night, recording songs, writing, I don't know, screenplays or
we've had a number of ideas. I remember I
movie scripts.
I used to give you a hard time because you would pluck on your guitar
Right.
and play like one little part of a song, and I'd be like,
And that is why I actually I got sick of you saying,
what? Don't you know the whole song?
yeah. So then I buckled down and I learned songs and
yeah.
we rehearsed it and stuff, but we never really took any of our ideas other than just talking about them. And then one day Chris comes up with this other idea that at the time's like, probably going to be just like everything else. And he says, we should do a podcast. And I liked the idea and I thought, yeah.
And this rolled really quick.
This is surprising me. Because,
we started this in December.
Right.
And, we probably first talked about this podcast maybe in October-ish.
Yeah.
And
December
by
2021.
December, we were already up and running on our first one.
And we're in March 2022.
Yep.
Almost finishing our first season. Yeah, I agree. It was when we first started talking about it in October, it was a great idea, just like all of our other great ideas, but we never pulled the trigger on them. And sitting here now on episode 9 is like, whoa.
Yep.
We're actually pulling the trigger on it. Now, on this one, too, we also had, with Lucas knowing how to do this stuff, that was also helpful to us.
That was a big push in the right direction.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's basically it. We've had a lot of harebrained ideas and dreams of doing stuff. And I think, Chris, for me, ultimately, we're doing this, to... I don't want to say satisfy our own.
You know what? It after one of the things for me was after all the time that we spent in lockdowns and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because you and I used to, we used to hit the occasional tavern here and there.
Occasionally, you've been known to. Yeah.
We've been known to.
And then maybe go get a burrito afterwards.
And then get a burrito. But then after all the lockdown stuff, and, this is just something, we don't have to go back to, don't get me wrong, I like hitting the tavern every once in a while. But
sure.
This kind of gives you an outlet, something to do, keeps you busy.
And, yeah, and actually I didn't realize how much it would, I don't want to use the word consuming because I don't want it to sound like a negative thing, but it's like, yeah, it's just it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
So we're enjoying this, and we hope everyone else out there is. And yeah. All right, how many more we got, or is that it? One more.
One more.
Oh.
Okay. Letter number 3. This comes from Tom, and Tom wants to know. He wants to know. Who is Biscuits and who is Gravy?
Oh, thank you for the question, Tom. I will forward you Steve's email. Yeah, I suppose people are wondering that. But yeah, so obviously, Tom, you've already heard the answer to that question. And I imagine we'll probably get more of those.
Probably. Oh, look. You know what? Something just came in. I guess
you're kidding me.
I'm opening it as we speak.
That's awesome.
Oh, let me read it. Hold on.
What's the odds?
Okay. I would like to talk to you about your extended car warranty. Oh.
Interesting. Wow. I don't even have any warranties left on my cars.
Me neither, but that's okay. Maybe we should talk to him about that.
Okay. Well, okay, you know
hurt.
what?
Could it hurt?
No. Hey, listen, we're going to have to let this show come to a close because we are going to have to check about this warranty business.
Yeah, I had no idea that my car's warranties could have even been expired.
Well, we'll look into this. All right, so we'd like to thank everyone listening tonight, and please rate and review us, and let's fill this mailbag up with a little bit more. Let's see, bagopod@gmail.com.
You got it.
bagopod@gmail.com.
There you go.
Send them, people. Give us the love.
And be sure to check out our next episode, which will be our season finale.
Yeah, very special one.
10th episode. Gonna do things a little bit different. We're gonna have some special stuff for you.
Actually, no movie talk. I'm basically gonna recap, and
we might talk a little bit about a movie or here and there, but it's not gonna be. It's
not
a set movie.
Right.
It's just gonna be us talking about random things in our journey,
and possibly maybe some sing song, or we don't know what we're gonna.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and everyone stay gold.
Bye.
Why did it have to be snakes?
Hey, normal.
What?
I answered it, Stanley.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Stanley, don't you know that's just a show, okay? Honey, sweetie, I gotta do that over.